What happens when a franchise cornerstone feels abandoned by the very team that built around him? Let me tell you something. When a player of Andrei Svechnikov's caliber starts feeling the cold shoulder from his own coaching staff, alarm bells don't just ring, they explode. And that's exactly what happened in Carolina earlier this season, igniting a firestorm of trade speculation that had general managers across the league salivating like wolves circling wounded prey. This isn't just another rumor mill story, folks. This is about trust, expectations, and a razor-thin line between loyalty and opportunity in today's cutthroat NHL landscape. The storm brewing in Raleigh, picture this. Andrei Svechnikov, a 25-year-old powerhouse left winger who's been instrumental in transforming the Carolina Hurricanes into perennial contenders, suddenly finds himself skating in the shadows. 8 games without a single point on the score sheet. But here's the kicker. It wasn't just the scoring drought that had Svechnikov's camp buzzing with frustration. It was the reduced ice time, the demotion from top-line minutes, the unmistakable message that something had fundamentally shifted. Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman dropped the bombshell on Saturday. Svechnikov wasn't just unhappy. He was open to a trade scenario if Carolina received the right offer. Think about the magnitude of that statement. We're talking about a player earning $7.75 million annually through 2030, a cornerstone piece who was supposed to be untouchable, suddenly waving a metaphorical white flag and signaling his willingness to explore greener pastures. The moment that information leaked into the league's underground network, it was like blood in the water. Multiple teams immediately started circling, making inquiries, testing the waters to see if Carolina's front office might actually be crazy enough to move one of their most dynamic offensive weapons. But here's where the Hurricanes drew their line in the sand. The monster offer that never came. Carolina's brass made their position crystal clear. Svechnikov remains a cornerstone. He's not going anywhere unless another team presents what Friedman described as a monster offer, the kind of package that would make even the most hardened general manager pause and reconsider their entire organizational philosophy. And honestly, that's the right call. You don't just discard a 25-year-old winger with Svechnikov's skill set because of 8 rough games. This is a player who's been a consistent 70-plus point producer when healthy, someone who brings physicality, scoring touch, and playoff intensity every single night. The Hurricanes aren't rebuilding. They're in full championship pursuit mode, and gutting your roster of elite talent during a Stanley Cup window would be organizational malpractice. Svechnikov holds a modified no-trade clause with a 10-team approved destination list, which adds another layer of complexity to any potential deal. He's not just going to accept a trade to any bottom feeder willing to overpay. If he moves, it'll be to a contender where he can showcase his abilities and compete for hockey's ultimate prize. The redemption arc fast forward to the day, and the narrative has completely flipped. Svechnikov's back on Carolina's top line where he belongs, and the results speak volumes. 12 points across his last 14 games. The scoring touch has returned, the confidence is surging, and suddenly those early season whispers about discontent seem like ancient history. But here's the thing. Friedman's right to suggest we keep monitoring this situation. The embers might be cooling now, but they haven't been extinguished. If Carolina stumbles down the stretch, if they suffer another playoff disappointment, if Svechnikov finds himself back in the doghouse for any reason, those trade conversations will reignite faster than you can say salary cap gymnastics. Next summer could be fascinating. If the Hurricanes fall short of their championship aspirations yet again, management might finally decide it's time for a significant roster shakeup. And when that happens, Svechnikov, despite his talent, could become the centerpiece of a blockbuster deal that reshapes the franchise's future. Vancouver's Reichel experiment, already over? Meanwhile, on the opposite coast, the Vancouver Canucks are quietly contemplating what to do with their recent acquisition, Lukas Reichel. Remember him? The 23-year-old left winger was supposed to be Chicago's next offensive star when they selected him 17th overall back in 2020. The projection was clear: dynamic scoring forward with game-breaking potential. Reality, however, has been far less kind. Reichel arrived in Vancouver just last month via trade from the Blackhawks, presumably getting a fresh start with a contending team. Instead, he's managed exactly 1 assist across 13 games while becoming a healthy scratch in the Canucks' last 2 contests. That's not the production curve any organization wants to see from a former first-round pick still in his early 20s. According to Patrick Johnston of the Province, citing Czech TV's Rick Dhaliwal, Reichel could already be back on the trade market if another team expresses interest. With Teddy Bluger and Nils Hoglander expected to return from injury soon, Vancouver's forward depth is about to get crowded in a hurry. Reichel might find himself either shipped out in another trade or exposed to waivers, where any team could claim him for nothing. It's a sobering reminder of how quickly prospects can fall from grace in this league. 1 minute you're a top 20 draft selection with the hockey world at your feet. The next, your organizational depth struggling to crack an NHL lineup. Winnipeg's Lambert. The ultimate reclamation project. Speaking of fallen prospects, let's talk about Brad Lambert in Winnipeg. The 21-year-old center was once considered a potential top 5 pick before his draft stock plummeted during his 2022 draft year. The Jets still believed enough to grab him 30th overall, hoping they'd found a diamond in the rough. 3 years later, Lambert's NHL future remains uncertain. He's appeared in just 4 games this season, managing 1 goal while averaging barely 9 minutes of ice time per night. Those aren't the numbers of a player the organization views as part of their long-term core. NHL insider Frank Saravalli broke the news last Thursday that the Jets have given Lambert permission to explore trade opportunities with other teams. Translation: Winnipeg's ready to move on, and they're giving the kid a chance to find a better fit elsewhere rather than letting him rot in the press box. With injuries ravaging rosters across the league and multiple teams desperately searching for center depth, Lambert represents an intriguing buy low candidate. Some team will take a flyer on his potential, hoping a change of scenery unlocks the offensive abilities that made him a first-round selection in the first place. These 3 situations, Svechnikov's temporary discontent, Reichel's continued struggles, and Lambert's search for a new home, illustrate the brutal reality of professional hockey. Talent alone doesn't guarantee success. Opportunity, fit, coaching philosophy, and sometimes just plain luck all factor into whether a player thrives or flounders. Svechnikov's rebound proves that patience and proper deployment can resurrect even the most concerning slumps. Reichel and Lambert's situations remind us that not every first-round pick pans out, and organizations must be willing to cut bait when investments aren't yielding returns. As we push deeper into the season, keep your eyes on Carolina if their playoff run falters. Watch Vancouver's roster moves as they navigate their injury returns. Monitor Winnipeg's trade activity as they attempt to find Lambert a suitable landing spot. The NHL trade landscape is constantly shifting, and these 3 names could be at the center of the next major transaction that reshapes the playoff picture. So, what do you think happens next? Does Svechnikov finish his career in Carolina, or is this just the beginning of an inevitable divorce? Can Reichel salvage his NHL career, or is he destined for European leagues? Will some team unlock Lambert's potential, or was he simply overhyped from the start? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your takes on these developing situations. And if you found this deep dive valuable, smash that like button, and let's keep this conversation rolling. The trade deadline is approaching faster than you think, and these storylines are just getting started.